It's Monday night, 8 p.m. We can't wait. We got a special show for you tonight. We've been wanting to show this for a while. I got my girl, Linda Scott. She gonna pop on. She's our entertainment editor. She's popping on in a second. Tonight, tell your mama and your daddy, tell your children, tell your grandchildren, tell your brothers, your sisters, tell everybody, because all of us are connected to the popularity of the artist known as Prince Rogers Nelson. One of his greatest achievements was the movie Purple Rain that came out in 1981. How do I know? My daughter was born, Madam Producer. Speaking of Madam Producer, shout out to her. Your boy been gone. We've been celebrating our 45th, I better not be stuttering over it, 45th wedding anniversary, and the boy turned another year old. I'm slowly approaching 70. I'll catch him in about 3 years, somewhere like that. But we were gone, and we worked through internet, no internet, and all of that stuff. And she's got everything ready tonight for a great show. I hope you're on. Call Paul, tell Saul, tell them all. They want to join us tonight. Have a ball right here. This is Dialogue with Dozie, YouTube, Facebook Live. We are looking back at 40 years since Purple Rain. Yeah, it's been that long. 40 years, the 40th anniversary of the movie, the iconic classic Purple Rain. Linda Scott, how are you tonight, sis?
I am wonderful. I'm super excited to be here. I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've been giving you a break because we know you got your awesome podcast, Golden Square. Tell me I got it right.
Yeah, you did. The Golden Square podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Her, Sherilyn Fisher, and they've been doing a great job on Thursday nights, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, and they've been taking off about 2 years now, and they got an awesome show. They're going through a thing right now with the elections and get out the vote. I need to be on that, talking about what we're doing here at Faith in Florida. But she came back as our entertainment editor, and we're so glad you're here tonight. Linda, thanks a lot. We're going to have some fun with this one tonight.
Oh, I think so. I'm super excited. I can't wait. So let's make it happen, man. Let's make it happen.
Let's do this. So we already said 1981, Madam Producer. I'm shouting out your age, but y'all don't be too mad. That was when she arrived on the scene. So I was a policeman in Central Florida. I worked the midnight shift. I'm not cut out to work all night and get up and try to stay up and go to court or go hang out. I'm one of them guys crying to get to bed. I mean, crying all the way to the bed and wake up and get up when I get up. I waited till the movie opened at about 1 o'clock. I went and tried to see the movie because I've been hearing about it. Well, actually was the first day, but all the promos, I went to sleep somewhere in it, woke up at the end, saw the ending. That night, I couldn't wait to tell the boys when I went back to work, and one of my friends told me about a particular scene. I can't tell you what the scene was. He said, you saw that? I said, man, I got to go. I went back the next day and saw it through. Since then, my wife and I have seen that movie no less than 15, 20 times. I've seen it all together all those times. And it has been fun preparing for this show tonight, looking at the clips, doing all the research. Purple Rain was made on a shoestring budget of $7 million. And guess how much it made, man?
How much?
$70 million.
Million with an M or a billion?
70 million. 70 million.
Wow.
That's the movie. We're not talking about when it was re-released. We're not talking about the royalties of all of the re-releases. We're not talking about the soundtrack and all that. We're talking about just the movie. Now, Princess was after that, and we won't talk much about them, but we will say that he did other movies. Let's get right into it. So that was the year that the filming began. Let's go to track A and hear them talking about the concept and everything for the movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, the revolution.
Prince wanted a story based on his career. We said go.
It was about creating a reality that an audience would respond to.
Purple Rain is the pinnacle of the whole Prince and the Revolution experience.
Nobody gave us 2 shots in hell to pull us off.
Some people thought it was just a glorified music video. They were wrong. It was a great movie.
People realized that there was something special going on.
The whole experience was over the top.
So you saw Wendy.
Okay, Lisa. I got it.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah, you saw Wendy, you saw Lisa. They were, and you saw Doctor, who was the keyboardist. They were the original members of the Revolution.
Exactly.
And when we talk about where are they now, we'll talk about that shortly near the end. But they were the ones you saw, and those two were beginning were the creators, Anthony Yerkovich and the other guy. I don't want to mess up his name. You'll see it a little later. And let's hear Mr. Morris E. Day talk about how the movie came together and how it attracted the actors that it did. That's over in track B. Let's hear him talk about that.
And Prince comes up and he's like, "We're going to do a movie." Okay. I'd never done a movie before, so he next thing you know, he's got us going to doing stupid shit in my book, like going to dance classes and going to acting lessons and all of this stuff, and it still didn't seem like it was going to be a reality necessarily because we were just doing all this stuff, but then it started to come together. Then all of a sudden director comes to town and the script shows up and it's starting to look like we're really going to do this. And so it to me, people ask me, did I know? I'm like, that was one of the most honest or innocent efforts because we didn't, in my opinion, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just the director showed us the script. He sat me and Jerome down and line for line, we went through the script and he said, "Okay, this is what the script says. What would you guys say?" And so we basically rewrote all of our parts. And next thing you know, we're shooting a movie.
So, Linda,
but listen, okay, go ahead, Doc.
So I was just going to say, first of all, back in that point, we were just kind of hearing of Prince. Maybe I was sheltered, so maybe you had heard more. We just heard he was this little dirty guy. He was real short. He played all the instruments, and he had very, very sexually suggestive lyrics. By the way, let us get this disclaimer out of the way. You may hear some PG-rated words in this class in tonight's show. We usually try to keep it G-rated. A lot of stuff that we normally would have shown, we opted not to because this is a G-rated family show, Facebook, YouTube Live. But so you hear what Prince said about starting a movie. Do you hear what Morris said? What do you say, Linda, about the whole thing?
Say, can you imagine Morris Day, Prince coming to him and say, "Hey, we're gonna shoot a movie. You're gonna be a part of it," and then he said, "You got to take some acting lessons." What?
The whole, all of them had to do lessons, including Prince, because they never acted.
Right.
If you remember, this was the MTV era, and what do we know about MTV when it came to minority artists?
Listen, I didn't know nothing. I'm gonna just be honest. I ain't know a thing about MTV.
So yeah, there were no videos with us on there. And so they didn't have the benefit of shooting music videos even. So they had no acting preparation at all. So they, in a short period of time, it's amazing. Research says how short certain scenes were cut. We're gonna talk about the genius of Prince. We talk about how fast he created some music to fit the script in the movie. Like one day, the director would come in and say, "Listen, I got this scene. I want to do this, or this is going to happen." The next morning, Prince got it. We're going to talk about that a little later on. And the soundtrack won a Grammy Award.
But that still goes with the him being the genius that he was, and the people that he chose to be in the movie. And then, like I said earlier about Morris Day going to take acting lessons, and now they're reading when the director comes and go, "Oh no, that's not how it's supposed to be. We're changing all of this right here." So the whole group of them were geniuses, are genius because Morris Day is still here. But that was so awesome. When you go listen, if y'all haven't seen the movie, go back and see the movie. It will joy your heart just like it was done today. But the scene with Jerome and Morris Day and the mirror, man, listen, nobody could have ever done that. Nobody could have played that but them.
That happens to be as you know, that's a part in all of their concerts.
Exactly.
Jerome breaks that mirror out and Morris, tidies up his own way. We're going to have one of the iconic scenes from that movie. We're gonna show that not too long. It is absolutely hilarious.
But I thought it was it reminded me of James Brown,
Yes.
So when he went and he put the cape on James Brown and all this kind of stuff. Morris Day and Jerome played that piece right there. Man, look, that was like, is that the movie? It was amazing. It was outstanding.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the what we thought to be a real life rivalry, the competition. We'll talk about that a little later. But Morris, you could almost say he stole the show, were it not for the music of Prince. And you hear him talk about we're gonna get to that in a second. I don't get. But here's what's funny.
Okay.
The lead song, Purple Rain, almost didn't even make the soundtrack.
What?
The lead song almost didn't make the soundtrack. Now, it didn't make the cut tonight because we were trying, your madam producer say she was up against the clock trying to get the stuff up. So that was one we had to leave out, but it almost didn't even make it. And there's tape of Lisa and Wendy talking about the chords, because if you look at it, and a lot of times you see that they're given credit for the lead song along with Prince. Prince very rarely shares that spotlight, but they both said that actually they put some chords when he hit the first note, and he told them to hold that, and it was a true collaboration. It is a scene in the movie where I think we'll talk about that too, where they're saying, you thought this, you think everybody's always trying to mention. Let's look at let's look at the effect of the lead song when they were rehearsing for it. Let's look at that. Let's see.
This woman that came in there, she was just watching rehearsal and crying when we were writing this song.
We went outside on a break and she was out there crying. It was very odd.
It was a really heavy day. I remember that. That's so weird. I haven't thought about that woman. Yeah, this homeless woman just came into the warehouse with her bicycle while we were working at Purple Rain. She just stayed there for hours watching us work the song out. And when we all walked outside, she was just bawling.
And that's all we ever knew of her. Yeah. She left. But she was the Purple Rain.
So that's Wendy and Lisa. Wendy both of them had a high profile in the movie because Wendy was about Prince's real height. And they both wore heels, of course. That was part of his demise. Wearing those heels kind of led to his hip surgery and the fentanyl and everything. But they were real tight and they were close. And you'll see when they're doing the song in the movie, it's a song that Lisa and Wendy allegedly are putting together. And Prince comes in and hears them, and they give him the tape. They pass it to them through Jill Jones, who was a part of the kind of like the Minneapolis scene with all of those groups back then. Apollonia 6. Well, it was Vanity 6 at first. Vanity 6, Morris Day. You remember Alexander O'Neal, right?
Yep.
I can't do it. If you were here tonight. I couldn't get the key to it, but yeah, one of the smoothest sounds. That's the track. But that whole Minneapolis. So Jill Jones in the movie was given the tape. She gives it to Prince. Prince listens to it. He doesn't want them to know he's been listening to it. And they kind of come in and say, we hear some great gals put together a nice sounding song. And he blows them off. And when he breaks it down in the movie at the end, it's just, oh man, it's such a touching and powerful scene. What they were saying is that while they were rehearsing the song, the unhoused lady who would bring her bike in the studio where they were working out, I guess, while she was working or whatever she was doing, and she heard them playing it, and she walked out, and they went out on a break, and she was out there crying, just absolutely bawling because of the kind of can I say, spiritual nature of that song.
The lyrics that was singing in that song was it did well. All of them had a message, a real message in all of them. So I can imagine somebody probably was going through something, passed by and heard the song and go, yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, she just like broke down and said it was just so touching. But and you saw some people with their eyes full, tears stained eyes in the movie scene. Mm-hmm. And there was a whole lot of, it's just so much that you can cram in a 60 to 90 minute show that I wanted to get in about some of the scenes in the club and everything. But we saw it. We can talk about it for our audience. Max says it was a live collaboration. Indeed, it was. Indeed, it was.
It was.
We're going to talk about some of the competitive aspects of that and what was portrayed and what was real. You'll hear Morrison and talk about that a little later. We'll talk a little about Apollonia, Lynn. Let's talk about let's see the scene with Apollonia where she's on the scene. The guy goes, I'm gonna let him tell the story.
Wisely said, is there anything you can shoot in these next couple of days, And I said, well, I don't want to shoot any dialogue, but if you get me a helicopter, we can shoot all of the motorcycle shots. The music, Take Me With You, was written specifically with that in mind. That wasn't part of the 100 songs that he had given me originally.
It's really a nice scene. It's one of the only scenes that's outdoors, and you get that feeling of release. Yeah, just a breakaway.
I think the temperature was about 68, 69. It was gorgeous, beautiful autumn day. After those 2 days, the temperature plummeted to about 20 degrees. And we then started our production with Apollonia having to jump into the lake. And I went up to her and I said, you're jumping into the water. It's 20 below zero. She goes, okay.
We had skim divers under the water just to make sure she did not come up. She could have had hypothermia. It was seriously cold in that time.
Wow. You're going to hear her talk about it in her own words in just a second about that scene. You remember that scene, Linda?
Yes, but I didn't know the temperature. Well, of course, we didn't know any of that information, but can you imagine jumping in that water? I can't. But that was so beautiful to know she didn't hesitate. You're going to jump in the water. Oh, okay. I'm still saying, okay, you want me to jump in the water right now? When? Oh my goodness, that was amazing.
So in the movie, she's saying she's trying. She and Prince have been to the store. They've been downtown, and maybe it's the Mall of America, and they see the guitar and all of this stuff that she ended up buying for him, and they go out to do the scene, and they playing typical boy and girl, I like you deals, and then she said something to him. He said, no, because you won't purify yourself in the lake in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And that's when she does that. It was semi unclothed scene, and she pops in that water, and you'll hear her tell the story. You heard him talking about the divers for her safety. As far, listen to what she says about the temperature.
And he said, I want you to stop over there. And we took off. It was slush, mud. And he dropped the bike. And he jumps off, and bike just landed on my leg. I still have the scar. And everybody was worried, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. And I'm walking around, and I didn't realize I was leaving blood on the snow. So I was, it burned through my pants. So I looked at Prince's face, and of course he looked horrified. And I was horrified because I felt like maybe it was my fault. The director, he says, that's it, cut. And, wrap.
So actually, that's the scene prior to this, but we get right into it. So in one of the motorcycle scenes, she falls. They drop the bike, and she goes on to say that. Let's go to this scene now, because you want to hear just how sensitive Prince was to her health issues.
Out scenes in the film, and I think the most famous one is "Purify yourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka." Was that actually in the script? Or,
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
is there a real Lake Minnetonka?
There is a Lake Minnetonka, but the lake that I jumped into was another lake. But there's so many, the state of a million lakes or something like that. Yeah. So I jumped into water that was about to freeze up. It was a small sheet of ice.
Oh, it was that cold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after you jumped in, he goes, "But this is not Lake Minnetonka."
Right, exactly. And I know it was just, the best scene ever. And we shot that scene, I think, 4 times. So by the time I finished, I was going through hypothermia.
You had to keep jumping back in the lake over and over again?
Yep. The nurse came over, and I started to fade to black. And I thought, oh, shit, I'm going to die. I'm dying. I thought that. I go, shit, I'm going to die. I'm dying. And everything just started to fade black. And the nurse put me in a tent. And then she started to worry. I could tell by her voice as I was fading, she was going to have to call 911. Somebody call an ambulance. We're losing her. And I was like, oh, And Prince came in and he started to warm me up. He grabbed a blanket and he started to cry. Because I could hear his voice. He goes, don't die, Apollonia, please don't die. And I could just feel the two of them were hugging me and warming me up.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Wow, that is so emotional. Could you imagine jumping in that water 4 times to get that scene? And I know we do take after take after take, but you talking 28-degree water. And she had no problems with jumping in, risking her life. Oh my God. And his little voice, don't die.
Yeah, that was I mean, so she she's not trying to be explicit, but she's just telling graphically how that effect had on her body. We wouldn't show it on in the program tonight, but you never know what goes behind the scenes of a movie. That's why I'm just a fanatic for, YouTube has opened the doors to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And she talks about the effect that it had on her body. And Prince just genuinely, like, don't die, Apollonia.
Don't die. You got too much bass in your voice. Don't die.
That was pretty. So there's a backstory to how Apollonia got into the movie. It was Vanity Sixes, the singing group was Vanity Six. So the Minneapolis sound consisted of Prince, The Time, Alexander O'Neal, and Alexander Six, and there was another girls group that I can't think of the name of it. But those were the key players, and all those were money makers for Prince. Now, if you go back and look at some of their album covers, if you still can find those things, those dinosaurs, you'll see in a lot of the words in a lot of those, the writer credit goes to a guy by the name of Jamie Starr. Guess who he was?
Who was he?
Prince Rogers Nelson. He wrote, produced, he did all of those himself. And he was the writer for most of those music, for most of the sounds. On some of Morris' Day in the Times album, Morris wrote some of the songs. But you'll see the song, the credit goes to Jamie Starr for most of them. And so he and Vanity had whatever falling out. So Apollonia pops on the scene amongst many who rehearses for the part in the movie. And so she gets the music deal too. She gets the music deal. And she'll go on and Morris will talk. It won't make it on our program tonight, but they talk about how Prince was an entrepreneur, and most business people, just like you remember the famed war he had with Warner Brothers when he had Slade and he became the artist and just wanted to get out of his deal. Well, he had that kind of control with his artists, and Morris basically said, "Hey, I ain't mad at him." Apollonia said, "She's not." Let's look at the next clip. I think he talks about the salary. She's going to talk about the salary that she got out of this.
$30,000 for the
movie.
whole film.
And I thought, I'm rich. I am rich. I could buy my mom a house. I could buy my Porsche, my home, everything.
Right.
$30,000, 6 weeks, $5,000 a week.
Well, did you ultimately get royalties from the film or no?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Very little.
Wow. Now listen, 1981, $30,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money. She probably could have bought her mama a house, bought that Porsche. She could have done all those things. Maybe. But that still was a lot of money back there in that time.
Yeah, it was. And when you hear her, her whole backstory, how she ascended to the role and how it opened doors for her. She had a if you remember what am I trying to say? The soap opera, what did they call those nighttime soap operas? Dallas and all of them guys. Whatever they call them.
So she got them. I don't remember her in the
if you ever remember looking at Falcon Crest, remember Lorenzo Lamas?
Right.
She was Lorenzo Lamas's girlfriend.
Yes, she was. And then she got the part of wasn't she in A Low Down Dirty Shame as well?
No, that was actually Vanity. That was actually Vanity. I'm gonna have to Google it
okay, I'm gonna have to take a look.
That was actually Vanity. We'll look at it over the break. So let's just do that right now. And tonight we're gonna be on an extra few minutes, and so we kind of changed up a little bit of our order. Tonight we want to shout out our sister and the great job they're doing. Let's hear what they're doing over there at Golden Square. Okay, all right. Maybe I didn't communicate that. We wanted to do so let's take the time to shout you out verbally. Golden Square Podcast. You got the ever talented star, beautiful. She sings. Linda Scott and her sidekick Sherilyn Fisher, anointed. Let me say that part. And they were doing plus size modeling, and it went beyond modeling. They mentored a lot of ladies. And I'm gonna say this, and I know y'all gonna say, no, they didn't start no national fad. You weren't seeing no big girl cheerleaders, no big girl majorettes, no big girl models. Somewhere I think somebody might owe y'all some money, because all the ones who kind of brought that, even though we have made it into the big leagues of TV and all of that stuff. But as far as podcast goes, because Go Get Your Producers, this is a great podcast. And just tell us a little bit about the podcast right now.
Well, the podcast basically is about our life. As Shirley and I was approached, and I'm like, let me bring her in because I know someone who would be able to, sit by me and, we could talk about life. And that's what the podcast offers. We want to know that we don't have Big Mama anymore. However, we're so close to being Big Mama, but we've been through a lot. So we can try to help. And all that we don't know, we know someone who do know. So we're about the health and wealth of the Black community, our generations that are behind us, and the generation who are coming behind them. So that's basically what the Golden Square Podcast is about, just trying to help the young people that has to come behind us and be our nurses and doctors and bankers and all of those people right now. So that's what the Golden Square is about.
That's so awesome. Well, tell us a few of your topics. I like what you guys are doing right now.
Okay, so right now and next Thursday, we'll have Fred Teller back on because of the political arena that we're in, that the world is in right now. We're educating our people the importance of not just voting for a president, but all the other people underneath that. And that's where we're headed. We actually took a class so that we'll be able to register people to vote. So we don't want to just be sitting behind the camera saying, okay, this is what we do, but we do what we say we're intended to do. And we have topics of one young lady, she's black. She's pretty for a black, dark-skinned girl. She's pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And that's that goes out to our dark-skinned, and we're hard on each other, but to our dark-skinned community, to say, hey, she's not just pretty because she's for a dark-skinned girl. She's been beautiful since birth. She has confidence. She has all of that she could do. She's educated. All of those top, things that goes on with our color bearers. We talk about health. You were on one time. We were talking about prostate cancer for the men, and that particular subject, that topic just ran through. Everybody wanted to, hey, well, better get my man to go. You better go get him to get tested. And it was so much wealth of education that you gave the men about prostate cancer. We've done the colon cancer. I actually just had my colon done on Friday. Thank God everything is good. No polyps, no cancer in sight, no nothing. I am clean. So those are the topics that we talk about, and we constantly talk about it. Here's a topic that we talk about that Black people don't want to talk about, and that's death. Having that insurance, having that policy ready, having all that stuff ready, because the day is coming. We just don't know when. So what do we take our family through? So those are some of the topics that we talk about on the Golden Square podcast.
Thanks, Lynn. That's just a snapshot. And what I'm impressed, I do voter education and registration in the state of Florida, and I educate because we got a national election. And not only I heard you talk about down ballot, particularly here in this state right now.
Yeah,
we're not just about looking at that presidential election. We're looking at these U.S. Senate races.
Senators, yes.
We got one here, and of course, there's one. There's one particular party that pushes voter suppression, and
right.
So in order to make that happen, they are touting supervisor of election offices, attorney general, and all of those. So we are doing education to people to let them know it's beyond the two presidential candidates. So right. I'm so glad you said that, and thank you for just shouting out what you all do. I love it, and any chance I get over there, because I got a natural time conflict. I don't get to catch you live much, but whenever I'm on, I'm gonna make arrangements to be there. Listen, we got another little thing you all do. Let's hear about it. Let's see it.
Hey, this is your girl Linda Scott. I am here to introduce you to Linda S. Jury 1426. Now, some of you know me, some of you don't. But if you don't know me, get to know me. Check out and scan the QR code below. Look at the inventory. I made this. God created. I put it together. See you soon. That was a trick.
The Golden Square, if the Golden Square can shout out and push things that's good for our community, then why would we not push the Golden Square and all of its affiliated entities?
Thank you so much. And let me just say this, Doc, is that it's so unfortunate that we don't give each other enough credit of what people are doing. And I do, and I know if Sherilyn was here, she would say the same thing. We appreciate every verbal thank you that we get from any and everybody. So thank you for that.
You betcha. That's what we're here for. We get back to the show in a second, but we got a couple other shout outs we want to do. I want to shout out our cruise agent. She has been our personal cruise agent since about 2009, I think. And she has led us to probably we're heading towards 15 to 20 cruises. We're to the point we try to do two a year. I can't take my wife on a road trip. She'll go to Orlando because the grandkids are there, but I can't get on a road trip. We used to do the Northeast pretty frequently. That's out the door because all she wants to do is get on a boat. So since she wanted to get on a boat, she got on a boat. We had the shortest cruise. We did a 4-day cruise, but our lady, go ahead and put the information up. She made it the most palatable, the greatest 4-day cruise you could ever be. Her name is Susan Sandell. and you see her web information. And if you need any, you see it listed, just click on the link. Just go back on the show. Go back, pull the show back up. Click that link, and it's going to take you to her inventory of cruises and how you can contact her. And I'm going to tell you, once you contact Susan, what you see listed is not what you're going to end up with. She's going to throw in any and everything that she can do to make it awesome for you and make it a very, very, very special podcast for you. Okay, listen, we got one more shout out, and we got to get back to the program because we're getting all kind of correspondence. This is what the dialogue is all about. We're getting all kind of corrections and correspondence. Leading my brother Amp and his partner Mac. Mac is a frequent guest of the show, a viewer. Well, we're going to get a viewer. He's a viewer, but we're going to get right back in a second. But there's one other shout out that we want to do. And Ms. Linda, you get credit for this. Since we're talking about the Minneapolis Sound, let's do the shout out to one side of the presidential ticket. The governor of Minnesota, Mr. Waltz, has joined the ticket with Ms. Kamala Harris. And I'm so glad somebody came out with a T-shirt that had that comma on it and had the law behind it, because even I know how to pronounce it now correctly. I wasn't trying to purposely mispronounce it like this orange guy. I think he probably knew how to do it, and he does now for sure, but he takes pleasure in mispronouncing it. You can believe I won't mispronounce it. We can't tout a politician or political party or anything like that. We can say to the governor of Minnesota, we do shout you out for rising to the ranks of being the vice presidential candidate, joining the ticket with the current vice president, Ms. Kamala Harris. Thank you, Linda, for telling me about that.
Yes.
All right.
And you know what? Wait, hold on before you go. Before, when they came on to introduce him, Prince was one of the first persons that he shut out to about Prince, how much he loved Prince. He actually made, I think the freeway is Prince. This guy, Tim Walz, is amazing. Minnesota, great choice. And I am excited for what the two of them are about to do.
Yeah, just a little side. When I was with ministry up in the Midwest, outside of Chicago, I became, I'm an NBA fan like you are, and I could never get over to Chicago to see Bulls tickets because Michael was playing then.
Yeah.
So my next choice, I didn't remember that Milwaukee was just another hour and a half from Chicago. I thought about Minneapolis, and it turned out to be the greatest blessing for me, because it was just a joy going out there. You got to see Kevin Garnett start as a pup. You saw when Kevin McHale put the ball in his hand. We would do the Target Center, the activities, the Mall of America. I ended up
Mall of America. Ladies, if you ever want to see a great Mall of America is where you need to go. You will lose your mind. You will lose your mind and your husband credit card too. So
that's how Madam Producer and Madam Producer had her own Lake Minnetonka moment. We'll talk about that another time. She fell in some icy lake. I thought about that when Apollonia was talking about that. But yeah, so shout out. We've been headed. When my dad was sick, we were actually headed to Paisley Park, and of course we got the news. My dad so we turned around and came back. But I think Kim and I and our wives are heading out there next year, heading up there. So, and you never made me go to Minneapolis. I love it up there. So back to Prince in Minneapolis. Let's do some corrections first. Mac is our resident historian, and Mac reminded us that Vanity played in he
played with the movie Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
Yes.
And he has a lady that actually played in
Sally Richardson. That's who it was. Was it down? Yeah, Low Down Dirty Shame. That's okay.
Yes.
So thank you, Mr. Mac. Thank you.
Yeah. So we got to see Retta on tonight, and I know Linda, you brought all your friends on tonight. We're so glad to have the viewers that are watching. Dialogue with Dozie comes on 8:00 Monday nights, YouTube and Facebook Live. We're working on that X platform, but it's kind of crazy over there. But we may get there at some point. So let's get back to the movie. One of the What veteran actor do you remember? Now you heard Mari say that none of them had ever acted before, and they had to do acting lessons and all of that. What veteran actor do you remember? A little trivia for you, Lynn. What veteran actor do you remember from the movie? And shout out to my brother Amp also, because he also gave us an update on Vanity also.
Okay, so a veteran. Let's see. I don't know. You know, I'm not quite that old to
Yeah. Well, it was almost 50 years ago, so you get a pass on that. We look at it all the time. So remember Link from the Mod Squad?
From the Mod Squad. You're absolutely right. That was his dad in the movie.
He played his dad. Yeah, Clarence Williams III, who just died right about the time of the pandemic, who just left us then. But he played his dad. Yes. There was they talked about his ethic. Let's go to G, because it is just so awesome. He talked about H rather. Let's go to the next one.
Clarence Williams especially, the minute he came onto the set, created a kind of professionalism that the non-actors, the musicians, hadn't seen before.
You're crazy. Shut up, Dad!
Immediately, you can see how people just were on the set to watch Clarence work. He's detail-oriented, so it's about the clothing, it's about his hair, it's about the gun in his hand, it's about everything has to add up for him. So Prince really reacted to Clarence, and, you know, Clarence pretty much nailed it.
So let me get this disclaimer. Dialogue with Dozie, Facebook nor YouTube purports domestic violence. That was fiction. That was a scene from a movie, and it's not reality. And we hesitated and thought very long, but we wanted to show his artistry in doing it. There.
But look, Doc, look, that scene right there, that made me crazy. And then I'm trying to sit there and imagine little bitty Prince jumping on this big old man. But hey, he was protecting his mom. He was protecting his mom. That's what it was all about. But that scene right there was crazy. That was pure acting. You know, you can't get a better. I was going to say Link instead of Clarence, but you can't get the choices that he made when he picked the people for that movie. It was amazing.
And there were suggestions that were made. A lot of people think Prince had all of the creative control because this was the first time for him. He was just glad to get the project up. And a lot of people thought that it was actually his life. It did have some flashes. It was not exactly what you would call biographical, but it had some bits and pieces. The next clip is actually going to talk about that. And this talks about the artistry and how an actor draws from what their own life reference. Yes. Let's hear this.
Where Prince coming in, seeing his father playing piano, and he asks his son,
"You're gonna get married?" "I don't know." "If you get married."
Now that was a moment that Prince had discussed with me, that had happened to him when he was a kid. And so when I heard that, we used it and put that into the picture and created that moment.
Wow.
So that's great. Can you see the power and the emotion of him and even reflecting upon that?
Okay, so we talking 40-year anniversary. And what you just played right now was today, the emotion, the strength, the power that was just displayed. Man, I'm like, I need to go look at the movie again. This is crazy. I was almost crying, looking at both the daddy and Prince crying. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. That was a movie, Linda. Come on back to earth. Amazing, man. That was amazing. That's great talent.
But you just saw the director, and this is almost real time.
Yeah.
And we do want to shout out Backstage Pass Purple Rain. They're making them Purple Rain for so many clips and so much that they're contributing to the night show. He's in real time and he's reflecting on it. But a good director will bring the essence of your abilities out by pushing you.
Yeah,
It's like as a coach, we'll push kids sometimes to tears. We'll push them to anger. I had an experience today where a kid, he probably talked about my mama. Better not let it be loud. But you push them to get out of them what you want. And a good director push those buttons. And that's what he did. And then Prince had the intuition to pull in the thing. And the professionalism of this director was able to get it out of him. And what you saw on the screen was the result. And I just think that's just really, really, really awesome. So you talked about the acting and the actors. There was a lot of stuff. Morris E. Day, he's hilarious in his own right. And unfortunately, he's had to do a lot of stuff without the tutelage of Prince, and he was his own man even while Prince was still here with us. But let's just look at this Nate's clip and see some of that interaction.
There was this friction between bands, and sure enough, I mean, right away, you had Prince and the Revolution, and you had Time.
Morris, Too Hot Day. Morris Day. What people don't know about Morris is one of the best drummers that you could ever see, and one of the funniest cats of all time, just naturally.
Back when we first started, Prince would stand on the side of the stage. He'd crack up. He'd love it. Then he'd realize, oh man, I got to go on stage now.
I got to follow
these
that.
guys,
They're comedians anyway, so it got transferred to film. I mean, I see that every day, when I'm with them. I mean, that's how they are.
You can tell with certain actors how much they can telegraph without saying a word. And I think Jerome had the most talent for that. Even though he didn't have as many lines, but he could telegraph volumes.
JB.
So that was a taste of it. But this scene, did you have something you want to say before we see this funny
No,
one?
yeah, let's see the next one.
I know you could wait. This is one of the funniest scenes of any movie. And a lot of this is not totally scripted either. That's what makes it funny. Let's see this. Like ad lib. This is good artistry.
The girl has expensive taste. I wonder if she can sing. As fine as she is, she doesn't have to know how to sing. No, that's right. Hey, watch it, man. I want you to stay out of set tonight. I want you to work the floor. What for? I want to know when that sweet thing shows up. You see her? Come get me, cool? Cool. I'll come get you, let you know the girl's there. Not if I'm with my other babes, that wouldn't be cool. I don't want to break their hearts. So we ought to have like a signal. A password. Okay, what's the password? You got it. Got what? The password. Password is what? Exactly. The password is exactly? No, it's... Hold it. Slow down. The babe walks in. You see her. I see her. You come get me. I come get you. And I probably have a couple little sexes on standby, so you glide by me and you say what? Okay. The password is okay? As far as I'm concerned. Damn it, say the password. What? Say the password, onion head. The password is what? That's what I'm asking you. It's the password. The password is it? The password is what? It. You just said so. The password isn't it. The password is... What? Got it. I got it? Right. It or right. What?
Now, if you can imagine, you get a framework or a script, and you say, no, that's not really us, and you take this thing and ad-lib it, and you come out with that. So just to give you some background, because I know you want to comment on that. Some of the background is Apollonia is on the scene now. Prince is doing a competitive thing. I mean, Marcia is competing. He likes Apollonia, so he wants to try to impress her. You know he's going to have to deal with Prince at some point because she's the one who introduced her on the scene. And so he's telling Jerome, you're not on the set, you're not on stage tonight. I want you to be here to help set me up, hook me up with Apollonia. Right. And then in the shoe pouch, Shine Paul, I think, and they're trying to come up with a signal, a cool signal, because Morrissey's Days thing was all about cool. Got that song COOL. So this whole thing was about cool. So he's got this thing where he's trying to hit Morris Day. I mean Jerome how to inform him that she's there to see her, and they just take it over from there. And it's great to see how.
What was the password?
What? What is the password? The password isn't what?
No, it's what the password. That's it.
It's on your head. So that was really funny. That was it. And you heard and of course you can't play everything. Yeah, man, that's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. So ironically, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had gotten kicked out of the time just before the movie was made.
Yeah.
They got kicked out of the movie, out of the time, and they were kicked out, and that was the control that Prince had over all of those bands that kind of came up that he and stuff like and produced. So they had gone down to Atlanta to produce the SOS band, a project that they had.
Yeah.
Prince out there. All the money and the royalties is going to be about Prince.
Yeah.
And so Morris kicked them out, but they still kind of stayed tight. And that Jam gave a lot of information on that and said, a lot of people talked about the rivalry between. Let's hear him say it in his own words. He can do it better than I.
Rivalry there in real life.
That whole Minneapolis struggle of who's the funkiest, who's the baddest.
We would all battle one another for the same work. So, you go out one week and you get your butt tore up, and then you have to go rehearse and come back the next week and try to make amends.
That's the way it was. Back then, Minneapolis was very competitive.
I got 3 acts. I don't need 4. That means one of y'all have got to go. I mean, what would you do in my position?
That's Billy Sparks, the supposed club owner. And so Morris talks about, he in fact, we're going to hear him in a second, but he talks about the competition. And he said, really, off stage, there was none of that. And that's in the movie, that was where it was, dramatized. Right. But off stage, he said, but just like Linda, face it, you're going to try to outdo Dialogue with Dozie on Thursday nights. And I don't have a problem with it because that means Monday, I got to bring the heat. We're produced by the same go-getter team, but we just want to be best and we want to be good. And that's what they were about. And all it does, it biblically says iron sharpens iron. And that's
and you're so correct with that. And it's not, I don't even think that I could say on Thursday, okay, we got to beat Dozie. But on Thursday, I can say, man, listen, Dozie them killed it on Monday. So we got to have that energy to stick by them so that we can stay right by them and get side by side. That's the energy that I would take from that. Instead, do I want to be better than Dozie? But I want to be better than Dozie. Yeah. All right. That's the password. I want to be.
yeah. I got you. I like that. So that's what that was clarified. They clarified that because a lot of people just was not sure that they thought that was the actual tension. Of course, that whole competitive thing kind of culminates in the movie with Morris's guy Apollonia on the bike, and he gets Prince drives up in his bike and pulls. She's with Apollonia. With Morris Day. Kicks him. Literally kicks him to the curb, and he's laying down there talking about all his clothes and all messed up. This movie has everything. It has music. It has humor. The dramatic script. It's just kind of unfortunate. We're going to talk about that in a second. That it didn't just kind of propel on from there. But that was a great movie. Let's hear Morris Day talk about the competition that everybody thought there was.
In real life really happened on stage. We weren't that competitive off stage, but as far as performing was, we were. So I think that the movie hits on that a little bit. but I had to live with, everybody thought that was so real. So everybody, especially a lot of girls come up, you're so mean to Prince in the movie. I'm like, it was a damn movie.
So that's great. That's great acting in it for non-acting.
Right. For people who don't and had not ever acted before, he displayed that energy that said that he was really mean. But he was mean to Prince in the movie.
Yeah, he was. It just, I don't know what
good. He did his job.
I don't know what he said. I really would have expected him to say, well, yeah, there was a little competition. We might have bumped up for the same girl, or Prince was a tremendous basketball player. Yeah, we did kind of bump it on the basketball courts. But no, he said no, there was none at all. And then I didn't. We don't have the clip there of him talking about the salary. He let you know he made no money off of that compared to what and said they had a laugh about it. He said, "Hey,
Cassandra." Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. He respected him because of that. So yeah, it's
so much to this movie. We can actually be here all night breaking it down, and we still gonna miss quite a bit. And to know that this was Prince's first movie, it was everybody in there but Clarence, and he led because the energy that he gave out. They said just what you just said. Okay, well, we got to do it like this to bring it and make it look real. And they did that. That movie it will always be a classic. It would never die. Whenever it come on, any and everybody, our children today will see that movie and go, oh, I kind of like that. So my favorite song is Party to Like It's 1999. For me, that has something else in my heart for that one. But it's an amazing movie. I mean, you can't take anything from it. There's nothing that you can say but Morris Day was really mean to Prince. That's all you can say. But it was a good mean. We adults now, we understand the movie, as he just said, it was just a movie. But
it's a movie, man. It was a movie. Let's see, Cassandra saying, my mom loved this movie. Tevin Campbell was great too. Now, Tevin didn't make this one. This was probably when he was still just a little lad. It was Sign of the Times, I think he was in.
That's it.
Which some people said was supposed to be an unofficial sequel to Purple Rain. We're gonna talk about some of those movies in the next part. We gotta shout out our sponsor right now. We gotta shout out Go Giga on our way out the door. We got about 10-15 more minutes with you, but here who makes us all look good.
We're finna go.
So Linda is a world-class makeup artist. You can't make me up to look no better. But I tell you what, that team over there at Go Giga, and I'm going to shout out, that's my oldest daughter, Latoya and Makia, and that awesome team they got over there.
Yes.
They make this broadcast. Look at Golden Square, how good, how professional Thursday night. That's what they'll do for you. Web building, podcasting, whatever.
Yes. Everything. They make our guests feel at home. I'm gonna shout out because I got to, and I have to every time I part my lips. One of my guests came on a couple weeks ago and came back and said, "Oh my God, I felt like I was at a real theater. I was in the back room. I was like, where you were." That's what our producer does. So if you need a good producer, you know where to go. She's amazing. She's amazing. I don't see how she do it, but I'm glad she do because I couldn't. So everybody, if you want a great producer, Toya, that's my niece. That's my niece. By that joker sitting right there. But that's my niece. I love her, and she's very professional with what she does. Her and her team, they don't just talk one-on-one. The whole team is talking with you to discuss what you want. So shout out to Toya and her team.
Awesome work. We're so glad about it. We're gonna be getting out of here shortly. I purposely, Prince didn't do it. You know, Prince was normally a shy person. He kind of come out of his shell as far as the media in intervals, but I didn't pull any of his stuff talking about this movie because I wanted us to see the essence and see his talent and let it speak for him. I wanted that. So we had other actors that spoke about their aspects and other aspects of the filming and putting it together. But I wanted you to just see, we've given you enough background to know that Prince was not a producer, he was not a director. He just had a concept and laid out that concept and took the concept and put it in the hands of professionals and worked as a team with all of his boyhood friends.
Yes.
And this is the result of it. I know all y'all gonna go back now and try to find Purple Rain. You can see it on YouTube, but they might hit you for a penny or two. But you're gonna look at that because it was about. We talked about the music. Let's look at one aspect of the music, and let's look at his artistry and how he conceptualized to pull a song. And he did that for most of the scenes. But one of the songs, let's hear the producer, the director, talk about this.
When he wrote Beautiful Ones, we were in LA, and I remember going, you're so totally in tune right now with your creativity. You are so on a roll. I just remember hearing that song and thinking to myself, God, you're so good. You are so good at this.
Every song he writes, he's dealing from an emotional core.
Yeah, and you know what? Dozie, listen. When he was singing that, baby, I said he was singing to me, y'all.
Oh man, you know, I believe that. Oh no, it's actually Let's see. Let's play. If O is the next one, let's pull that up. Let's pull it up, and we'll see how they pull it together.
Montage. And I needed a song for that. I called Prince up and I said, I need a new song. And I said, this is about your father, about your relationship with your father and your mother. It's about loss, redemption, salvation. It's about the themes that we're talking about in this picture. He said, okay. And the next morning, I get a phone call from him. And he goes, okay, I got 2 songs for you.
Dig, if you will, the picture of you and I engaged in a kiss.
There's not too many artists you could say, well, look, we really need a first single, Prince. We need it to be a big hit in both urban and pop radio. And all these other songs in the movie work great, but they're not a great first single. He says, okay. And then he gives us Dove's Cry.
So then Prince calls me and says, you like the song? And I go, yeah. And he goes, will you back me? Because now they're telling me I have to add more instruments and, I have to essentially make it a real song. And I'm going, no, I'll back you. This is the song. So that's the song that you hear is the one he developed and created. That's how When Doves Cry got made.
Doves Cry turned out to be #1 in every chart. We had it out 10 weeks before the movie, so we had this #1 record for a long time before the film came out.
I mean, can you hear? Did you hear how When Doves Cry was conceived?
Yeah,
and it was out before the movie. They had a long version of the video. And let me reiterate for everybody who joined us a little late. MTV did not feature Black artists. And finally, somebody got the door open by saying, if you don't play Jackson, he is coming off of your label. and that's how they open the door, and that's how all of so it just gives to the genius of Prince to conceive of a movie, put it together in his mind, and then do all of the preparation to make it happen. And to hear that this song was out before them, there was like a 10. I think the long version of that is like 10 minutes. It would make it. Madam Producer and I used to look at music videos. They would come on NBC from like 10 to midnight on Friday nights. Can you believe that? The MTV and VHS was the one that really started playing our videos, and BET. That's how it really got, because they were on, but the music videos and the preaching series is what really brought it. But when the break over to MTV, they had a long version of this, and then they just had a radio version of it. And this is where Prince, you really got to see him act. But he was doing a lot of this stuff already on stage, you know? He was already doing this.
Prince was a beautiful man.
Can you imagine somebody gives you a concept and you come out with a masterpiece song like that?
Wow.
Overnight.
To the song. I never understood the song. Oh, she said, my mom used to cry to this song. I never understood the song until I gotten older. That's amazing. That's why I said every song had a message to it, and the message was so beautiful. Dig, if you will.
Yeah.
This
picture. So Cassandra wrote that. And Cassandra, correct me if I'm wrong. And Linda, you elaborate on this, please. Cassandra's talking about the beautiful ones. And the beautiful ones in radio, there are certain songs because of length or other things that would not make. It's just like, well, yeah, we just got off our anniversary cruise, so I'm gonna say it. Yeah, we clubbed a little bit on the ship. You know, I wanted to hear some cha-cha slide and all of that stuff, but this brother had a bad Latin thing going, and he broke it over into a Jamaican thing, and them brothers they took it. So I couldn't say nothing about not hearing some of my stuff. So some of that stuff is just themed for various radio stations, but before you start getting the streaming radio stations and the online radio stations, back in the day when you had FM radio, I heard this. I was coming across I-4 one day, and this sister, this was white sister DJ, played a portion of the beautiful ones. There's nothing I can say. I have no words.
You say I'm all in. That's it. Just go ahead. But again, that was the music back there that had that message that we could we now, as Cassandra just said, now she understands what it meant. So I don't know. We don't hear that nowadays, but 40 years ago, the message was there. Yeah. It takes you maybe 20 years to understand the message, but the message was there. So I mean, well, we could sit here all night and say how what a genius this man was.
Yes.
All night. I'm so, man, I didn't even know. I slept a little bit because it's been 40 years, and I'm just 45, so I got to catch up.
Since we're the same age, off a few weeks, month maybe, something like that. That's fine. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I'll let you have that. Mm-hmm. So, you talk about music and then and now. Now, and shout out to rap. I'm not trying to knock rap, but one of the things about it came from a braggadocio, and the braggadocio eventually played into to East Coast, West Coast. East Coast, West Coast fantasy played out in real life.
Yes.
We looked at our biggest stars, and we had a family tragedy. It's all about this I'm better than you. Kim was only.
And it's so sad because I don't have to be better than you. As I said to you, I just want to stand by your side. I don't want you to have my back. I wanted to stand side by side, and you give me my acclimate. Yeah, that was pretty good last week. You got me. I'm finna come on up too. And we laugh about it and joke about it. But for the East Coast, West Coast, look at the young men whose lives was taken because you were jealous that my music was better, my rap song was better. I want to take control. Why we have to take control? Why can't we just enjoy the moment?
You listen, and I'm not a hypocrite. I certainly listen. We were Pharrell to death while we were gone, and I love me some T-Pain, and I love some of the rappers today. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But the quality of music for every aspect of life. That in fact that soundtrack in itself, which did win a Grammy, that soundtrack in itself covered every aspect of life.
That's it.
Every aspect. Sexuality, of course, was highlighted, of course, and that was there's a title on the Darling Nikki. We couldn't do anything with that in this forum, but that's reality. So everything was played out in there, and but it was just I just had to focus on that musical genius. You mean to tell me? You made me say what? The man asked you one day, can you come up with something that does this montage or this, and you come up with a monster hit like When Doves Cry, that when you play it now, country and western artists are doing their Dozie, because it's a classic. It's a classic. Purple Rainbow, Tears, and it still does the song. And When Doves Cry, not When Doves Cry, The Beautiful Ones. Y'all know that touch y'all age. Y'all trying to fight it, but y'all know them tears. I ain't gonna mess with that. So,
but that's what happens when you are a genius. But he never, to me, he never threw himself out there that he was better than you, Dozie.
No.
He was, as we stated earlier, that little petite shy guy, and he did what he did. And that's how it was. His music is a massive unreason. Yeah, Mac, you in there. The man is amazing. It is amazing. And I wish we could get some more of his music that he has left behind and hear just what he was. He was to me what Michael Jackson is to a lot of other people.
So let me tell you on that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's going on with it. His estate is various factions of the estate are in court right now.
Yeah.
His sister. Some of them have been eliminated from but some of the people that work closely with them, I'm not talking about the talent, but people there. And his sister are in court right now. And Max says that vault is massive and unreleased. That can't be touched or released. Who knows what's going to be in there once they settle this? Everybody going to get a piece of that, I think. Yeah. And with the music, the potential of greatness of that music, Prince didn't touch. Well, he did do stuff that was off the wall. But when you do so much of it, you're going to come up with some genius. And I know there's some genius in that vault, man.
Yeah.
Time we make our trek up there, some of that stuff will be out and we'll be hearing about it. Now you talked about Michael Jackson. As cool as it was, a lot of people would have thought, okay, they were the two once Purple Rain parlayed Prince to the top of the charts. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, well, didn't he and Michael clash? Actually, he and Michael were Vanity talks about. So a lot of clips we got from Vanity earlier came from Glad TV. And some of the stuff from Mars came from Glad TV. I want to give them a shout out because they had some good stuff. And Apollonia says that Prince had an absolute fondness for Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah.
Fondness. He said, "Look at my boy." I said, when some of his stuff was, they be looking at the music, and just to set that to rest, a lot of people thought that the actual, the thing that he had for Apollonia in the movie, that was nothing to that. Apollonia says plenty of opportunities for them to not only be intimate, but to be in a relationship. She said Prince kept it 100, a big brother relationship.
Oh, that was great.
If you hear about them, shout out to him for that.
That's
but
great.
yeah, she says that he had furnace. Now we've all heard in his own words talk about he was supposed to play the part in the Bad video that Wesley Snipes had, and Prince had some trepidation. He said, "Wait a minute, this line, your butt is mine." He said, "What butt you talking about?" So supposedly they kept him out of the video, but it really he was tight with Michael, and they had talked about collaboration, and unfortunately, both of their
both of them are gone. Yeah,
we didn't get to that. That's so unfortunate. I want to do this.
Can you imagine that though? Can you imagine both of them?
If Michael Jackson can, he can write for a few weeks, and then he and Quincy Jones can go into the studio and come out with what We Are the World was.
Yeah.
And Prince can come out with When Doves Cry in less than 24 hours.
24 hours.
Collaboration with all of the dancing talents and all of that. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Now, what I want to do is, before we get out of here, we got a few more minutes. I didn't want to, because it's even sad for me. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about his demise. I wanted to talk about, his great works.
Great. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and hear the producers talk about how hot that movie was, and then we'll come back and kind of close the door on them, and then we'll close it out by talking about where are they now.
Okay.
Screen it in front of essentially a white audience. And within about a minute or two, literally, the entire audience was on their feet. So one of the Warner executives comes running up to me and he says, "They're on their feet, they're screaming, what does it mean?" And I said, "I think it means they liked the movie." And he goes, "Great."
So then they began to think, wow, maybe we should open this in more theaters than we thought.
So we went from 200 as a planned release to 900 theaters. And that first weekend, we were number one at the box office.
Wow.
I told you that's what back to back. I told you that's what back
900.
to back, and that started a series of seeing a whole lot of times.
Wow.
You know that.
Wow. That's how you do 900 theaters open to see this movie.
So Minneapolis is Live and Let Live. I know you know that, Linda, but for our audience, it's Live and Let Live. It's a hotbed of single sex population. It's kind of looked at as a progressive / liberal, however you want to categorize it. And some of us just kind of like people just, hey man, we don't linger on the barriers or the things that divide us or that are different about us. We gravitate to the things that are common about us.
Right.
That's why I was so, when George Floyd happened, it's utterly sad in the midst of a pandemic. When all of that happened, and Black Lives Matter caught it a lot. But what was really refreshing was to see all those marches. They were like 80% not black or dark colored people.
Exactly. That's it.
And that's even right there in Minneapolis. So Minneapolis always had that. So when he says it was fed to a white audience, Minneapolis was like this. Hey man, we know we black, we know you white, but music is good music. I don't care where it comes from.
Exactly.
And so they fed it to this white audience, and they like say, hey man, in their own way, they say this is a hit. Well, the brothers was gonna love it, right?
So when he said they were screaming, what does that mean? That mean they like it? Yes. Yeah.
So Purple Rain goes on to make $70 million. A surprise hit, and those are the kind of things you like.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Under the Cherry Moon, and it was all right. It was filmed in black and white, and it basically was he and Jerome were kind of like the things in that, but it was a bizarre script.
Mm-hmm.
And then they followed up by Sign of the Times, and Sign of the Times was more of a real music video. They had a side plot, and it was not well written
yeah,
enough to hold it together. So the films didn't make it. Morris, they of course went on to do other stuff in entertainment beyond his music, and so. But I want to just do this thing about where are they now, and I'll start with your girl Jill Jones. Jill was the blonde waitress in the movie.
Okay.
That she used to be a part of the revolution, and Jill is still around. She some of the research that we did for this movie, I got it from her in various clips and readings, and she actually is a singer. And I think everybody just kind of, whatever their niche was, however they made their money after that, they were able to live comfortably.
Okay.
Yeah, Apollonia was turning 30,000 into some millions. If you Google her net worth, she ain't hurting. She's not living like Prince, but she ain't hurting. Okay.
Right.
Wendy and Lisa, the two white sisters in the revolution. Remember, this is this integrate, and then you should hear them talk about it. Just go on YouTube and pull up some of the behind the scenes of Purple Rain or Prince and hear them talk about. Prince just had a colorless thing going, and I always have hats off to that. He fell out with the revolution, and Wendy and Lisa went on and did some collaboration together of their own, and they were kind of like hooked up in other ways. They were tight, but they've gone on. They make their money. They're kind of chilling out. So Wendy has a twin sister. Their dad is big in the music industry. He's like a latter day Clive, not to the magnitude. Yeah, Mr. Melvion. I can't think of his first name. So they're doing well. And Brown Mark was in the revolution. Okay, so all of them, just Google that. YouTube. The one where I said we pull all this stuff from. A lot of these clips. YouTube that, and that's where you see them all just sitting there talking about. Brown Mark went on and had much success. He didn't hang with the revolution. He left it actually before it disbanded. And Doctor, you saw him early. He doesn't look the same. He's wearing the mask and the scrubs and all of that stuff. He looks like a businessman now. He was actually a dancer, and he choreographed a lot. He did the choreography for a lot of what you saw in Purple Rain, if you can imagine that. Yeah, we did cut the scenes where they were talking about how they had to shoot 4 and 6 and music. MTV people, people who made music videos, learn how they use the camera work and the angles. Right. They had to shoot some things 4 and 5 times. And make it as much as they could. Right. So it was a lot of stuff that went into. So right now, the revolution and Matt, who was the drummer, you see the taller, distinguished talking guy, he kind of left before they kind of disbanded. So all of them have now come together to celebrate 40 years of Purple Rain, and they're doing some things up in the city, in the Twin Cities now. So wow. Yeah, I don't know if you could get some online tickets to see it, online, or you have to catch it afterwards, or you could, somebody who actually wants to go there. I don't think you have the kind of lead singers that could carry it, but of course the time is kind of going on their own way. But whenever you see Morris's trademark, the time name, so whenever you see it, you'll see he and Morris,
Jerome. Yeah, Sandra just said, because Sandra just said, wow, there's a lot behind the scene, behind this movie right here that nobody would never know.
Yeah, I mean, so and who do you think the second villain in the movie was?
The second villain. Who was the second villain? I don't know. I told them too young. Yeah,
I know. We go through that all the time. Yeah. So the second villain actually was Apollonia. And she had kind of a peripheral role, but Morris was throughout, and everybody said, well, Morris stole the show. But, those kind of decisions are made before the movie is, put together with finance and all of that. Can you believe that?
I did. I would have never said her.
She is the second villain in the movie. If you look at the credits that is coming on, that's how you see that. And she was the second billing, and she made $30,000.
Yeah.
So Like you say, it was much more valuable back then. But yeah, so Apollonia is still, she's kind of living off of her money, doing the bit pieces. She's doing a little producing now. And Morrison, the time, we talked about him, and unfortunately we lost Prince in 2016, we lost him. So there's a lot of the one person that I've always wanted to, and not just preparing for this show, that I always wanted to know where he is now, and that's Billy Sparks, who was the club owner. Because that scene that we played, that was one of the iconic scenes in the movie.
Right. So where is he? Did you?
Nobody can find.
Nobody knows, huh?
No, you can't Wikipedia him or anything. So,
wow. He's somewhere looking at the podcast tonight. Hey, Billy.
yeah, that's right. Billy, let us know what you're doing, man, so we can come
right,
on our podcast and talk about you. Linda, we're gonna wrap it up. Go Giga has been so gracious to us tonight and work with us and think what has been. And this was fun putting it together. And shout out to my wife. Well, a lot of stuff I did while she was asleep, but I did a lot of work with the research and stuff and the clips and stuff like that, making this happen. And this is one of those shows that I knew would be fun, and that's why we don't want to half do it. It's been scheduled for a couple of times, but shout out to Go Giga that they helped us put it together for the night. And shout out to you, Linda. It could be the same without you.
No, shout out to you for letting me be here. What can I say? That's what we're supposed to do.
Well, I tell you who the shout out goes to, our viewers. Those who take the work from you, and thank you for appealing to them. And from our regulars, and for those who just joined in today. Listen, guys, this has been a great show. Tell your friends about it. They can segment it up. They can listen to it while they're riding in the car or while they're cleaning the house. This is a great show. And what we're hoping is that it will make everybody want to go back and revisit and look at Purple Rain.
Yes. Purple rain, purple rain.
Only
come on now.
You dancing in the purple rain.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can't get that high note, but yeah, it was awesome. And he went on to do the American Music Awards. The version of it on there, he did on several things. It was off the chain. Linda, parting words.
Final word. Final word is, I am super excited to know that you all were here with us, and hopefully and prayerfully that we gave you some information that you can go back and revisit the Purple Rain. And remember, God loves you. Good night.
So, I mean, what can you say after that but this? Music, artistry, acting, all of those things are intergenerational. They have no time limit, no expiration date. I still like me some Nat King Cole, as well as some Wheezy. Listen, don't relegate any artist to their time period or to their genre or to their generation. Appreciate the art for the good art that it is. It's been so much fun doing this tonight. It couldn't have been this fun without my sister Linda Scott.
Oh man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm here for you anytime. You already know that. Just pick up the phone. 15 minutes before showtime. I got you.
That's how we used to do it back in the day. I said, I can't get her like that now because she got her own thing going on. Tell us about your show again tonight.
Our show Thursday night, Mr. Fred Teller telling us the importance of voting, not only for the president, but for everything underneath it. So we look forward to seeing you Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, the Golden Square Podcast.
And we're going to see you again next Monday night, 8 p.m. No more reruns, no more missed nights. We're back in the saddle next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, YouTube and Facebook Live. And we coming at your ex. Dialogue with Dozie. We out.
Good night.